DreamHack ASTRO Open is brought to you by ASTRO, Monster Energy, Corsair, Zowie, and Intel.
Well, by any measure, Sweden is one of the world's most innovative nations and has been called the most digitally connected economy. Swedes are early adopters of new technology, and the country's non-hierarchical society creates a fertile environment for new ideas. Generations of innovativeness have led to a long list of world-changing inventions. However, nothing is new here when it comes to DreamHack DreamHack ASTRO Open Winter here in Jönköping, Sweden. Things are heating up. We saw our first matchup going the way of Gambit, and ultimately a show of force that was by Hobbit.
Do you know here in Sweden they got this thing called Swish, and they can pay for things like text messages?
Text messages?
Yeah.
I've seen other countries do it like QR codes.
I don't have any of that stuff.
No, that's super advanced. I wouldn't know anything about that. Anyway, guys, we did just see what we figured would be Rise Nation falling to Gambit, which is ultimately setting us up for our next matchup in Mousesports and North Academy. Now, guys, looking at these two teams, Mousesports should be the clear victor.
There's definitely a clear favorite in this one. That's Mousesports, obviously. They're coming in hot. They haven't lost a game in, I think, 5 matches, though it is online. Whereas North Academy had a very rough showing at the VESC qualifiers in Spain, where they went in as one of the favorites in the group and ended up going out last with out of one single win. So that was quite disappointing for those guys, especially after a great, yeah, exactly.
You never love to see coming 17th to 20th at WESG, EU, and CIS regional qualifier.
Basically, it's just a mixed team tournament.
Yeah, you don't love to see that.
That's a rough one right there. Well, let's go ahead and start this off by talking a little bit of Mousesports, guys.
Just something interesting with Mousesports is the fact that they pulled out of Shanghai, and there was another tournament that they pulled. Was it the Aces ROG?
That sounds right.
They pulled out of those 2 tournaments, which is strange because these guys, they haven't played in a lot this year, really, offline. They've kind of, since the change of roster that you can see, they brought in Sticko and Sunny, the 2 guys down the end there. They came in a little bit later. They came in the middle of the year, but we've got the likes of Oscar, Rops, and Chris J. They were there, I think, when did Rops come in? Did he get to do the major?
No, I don't think so. That was the DreamHack Tours, I believe. That was his first tournament. So like roughly half a year ago.
Okay, so he's been around for a while now, but I think the star, or at least the standout player, is that man right there on the screen, Oscar. He can do it all. That guy's a monster with the pistols, the AWP, the rifles. He's a clutch master. He's a very explosive player, and I think it's difficult to really quantify what he can bring to a team.
Yeah, I mean, he's one of these players that can come in the server, and if he's firing on all cylinders, well, dare I say it, you're going to have a rough day on the other side of the map.
Yeah. And North Academy, are definitely gonna have a rough side on that side of things. But this kid here, I remember watching him last season at Pro League Rops, and I was very impressed with like his approach to the game. You know, the fact that he just was kind of glued into clearing areas and very one-track minded in getting that stuff done. He's been evolving into a team player is not something easy to do coming from a puggy environment, right? So he's done well to get there, and the coach behind them, LMBT, he's helped a lot, especially with another young addition. You know, Sunny's a guy who's a potential star in his own right as well. That's an exciting thing with this squad. There's so many potential carry players that we've all yet to see get unlocked.
I mean, we can look at Rops and how he even got to this level of play. I mean, you talk about the puggy style. He comes up through the FPLs, the rank S's, and ultimately you find him now alongside these guys that could certainly, I don't want to say carry him, but he carries his own. Either way, let's take a look at North Academy, the opposition there for Mousesports, who, you can't, this is almost kind of like where we were with Rise Nation and Gambit in terms of matchup and stature.
Yeah, I'd say so, and that is only because of their poor showing at the VESC qualifiers in Spain, I'd say, because coming into this tournament before they had that poor showing, I'd even say they were having like a little bit of an underdog status where they actually could go on and maybe go out of the groups. I had a high belief in them because they've been playing well online. They've been beating great teams. They did qualify for this tournament, beating teams like Space Shoulders, for example, which is a team that's been on the uprise for quite some time now. So they definitely can play Counter-Strike. It's just a shame that they had their first big LAN event going so poorly for them, which definitely is gonna sit in them now.
Yeah, and their coach is Ave, a 1.6 Counter-Strike legend. To have that man standing behind you is It's probably a pretty nice thing to have, right? I remember watching him back in the day and in his MTW days with Zonic and the likes, and that team was always very exciting to watch.
That'll make you feel old, won't it, Chad?
Look, age is an issue lately, mate, so let's stay off the touchy subjects.
No, the touchy subjects, touchy ages. It's all relative.
It's all good.
I suppose. It's all good. Anyway, in terms of it being all good, North Academy certainly having their work cut out for them.
He looks like he lifts. Do you reckon he lifts?
He kind of reminds me of Config a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit.
In the face.
Yeah.
And you know, it's weird how that works out overall, right? Because North Academy, you see what I did there?
Yeah, I saw.
Who's the in-game leader in this team?
Cyclone.
Jacob? Okay.
Cyclone, a guy they brought in from Singularity, the team that won Copenhagen Games.
Okay.
You know, the surprise factor there. So they lost both A&J and Cyclone now after, who left North Academy? Glaze and Lomme got kicked from that team. Yes. So they needed a new in-game leader, and they brought in Cyclone. He's been doing fine. Like he's one of those Danish guys who like looks up to the likes of MSL, looks up to those like strategical-minded players. You know, they want to be very structured. They want to play safe. They want to play like clever Counter-Strike in that sense, and that limits the team in some ways, I'd say. But for a team that is considered like an academy team, that youngsters, you know, I think that's a very good environment to grow up in, basically.
No, I mean, academy teams are built with the purpose of feeding upwards.
Exactly.
And ultimately, looking upwards is what they should be doing, I think is the right thing here. But if we look at North Academy, I'm going to have to ask you straight up, Pimp. I'm going to need at least 3 reasons, and perhaps you can give me one more than that one, just a cherry on the top.
Sure, I'm gonna give you 3 reasons why I think North Academy could be a good team in the future. First of all, the structure they have behind them in North, the organization is so good for them. I don't think there's an academy team out there in the world who has the structure and the support that North gets to the academy team. They have the Parken Entertainment Sport where they can practice just like the North main team can. They have pretty much everything available for them in order to as you said, like feed up to the higher ranks of North, the North organization. So they have the whole structure behind them for them, and I don't think there's any academy team out there who can say they have such a well-drilled organization behind them, and that's definitely a good building stone for them to improve. The second reason why I think they could be a good team in the future is the undeniable talent that there is on the team. You know, you have a player like Mertz who's been on the upcoming scene in Denmark for quite some time. You have Gade, Danish pronounced, also a great guy. In general, you just have so much talent in Denmark that can always produce great results, that can always produce great things. And when you like take these parts and put them together inside an academy team who then has this well structured behind them, I think there's potential for something big here. And the third reason why I think North could be a good team comes down to Mertz, which you just touched upon. He is a star player for this team, and he's even a star player in Denmark, I'd say. He was one of those guys who were on the block of joining North when they needed a guy. They opted to go with Valde instead, but he was so close to joining them and their main team because they value him so much. He's pretty much the only Danish like hard carry AVP player we have right now, and if he can keep out that trend and he can keep producing the stats that he's producing right now, I think we have a future star coming in.
Well, the academy portion of this is the interesting part, right? I think I have to agree in terms of teams that have that structure, have that sort of lineup when it comes to academy feeding upwards. I can't really think of one either.
I would have loved any form of structure when I was a player. So the fact that they get this is fantastic, mate. But you got to look at this, and we painted the underdog story for Rise. We have to do the same thing again for North Academy, right? I don't think it's as much of an underdog story in the sense of they're not far from home. You know, the North Americans, they got to get used to the jet lag. It's an excuse. It is a legit excuse, you know, especially if you don't travel a lot. So these North guys coming into this, they would be playing at this caliber of CS a lot more. They know about the mistakes, and I'm going to give them not an edge, but a little step in the right direction. This might be a close match.
Could be a close match, but it will all come down to potentially what map it is that we land on. We're going to go ahead and see the vetoes fly out now. And then the first veto is going to be coming out, Mirage for North Academy.
Makes sense. Mousesports is a strong team in Mirage, and North Academy haven't been playing that well on the map. I mean, the problem for them is that they played 3 different maps in Spain, and they lost all of them, obviously. So they're going to be a little bit hurt on their own map pool, you know, and believe in what are we actually good on, you know. Because I think they played Overpass twice, and they played was Inferno twice as well, you know, and lost both of them. So it's kind of tough for them to believe in their own map pool at this point.
If we talk about Mertz being a hard carry with the AWP, you're going to be looking away from something like Cobble, right? Because it's not really where he can have much explosive impact, especially on that T side. As I say that, it gets closer and closer to potentially being Cobble. He's had a lot of, you know, that's the thing though. When you say that he's a hard carry with the AWP, he's going up against the likes of an Oscar, who is also, you know, cut from the same cloth and can be very explosive. So it could be a matchup of 2 AWPers going head-to-head, which is always
a couple.
exciting. Wow, I couldn't be more wrong.
No, but then again, that also makes the point for North Academy being the structured team, you know. It's not all about merch, you know. They feel good on couple as a team, you know, so we don't cater to our AWP that much. We just cater to what the team feels good on, right?
They really do prescribe to the MSL thought process, right? He loves a bit of that. He loves the B execute, so we'll see if they have the same kind of strats coming out as the main team does. But this map for Mousesports is always great. I just there's so many positives. Sure, if the other players aren't on fire and Oscar can't find room to have mid-round impact, that's where things get a little bit iffy for Mouse. But the likes of Rops, the likes of Sticker, they always seem to have quite a big impact, at least on this matchup when I watched them in the past. So I expect, I'm obviously leaning towards Mousesports here. There's no denying that.
Well, make sure if you're the viewer at home on Twitch chat joining us right now, take a break from spamming all those Kappas and all those Pog champs, maybe even the foreheads too. Go ahead and get your vote in right now. !Mouse or !North AC. And we will be reviewing that shortly before we go into the game itself. Now, guys, I'm going to have to ask you now to put your money where your mouth is. It's time to go into predictions. This one's seemingly a little bit different in terms of what we just saw within Rise Nation and Gambit. And you know what? We're going to start with the man with the money.
We're not allowed to bet, are we? We'll put that away.
Well, it was fun working with you, Chad. We'll see you next year.
Anyway, I'm going to lean towards Mousesports. I think they have just the star calibers there. LMV2 is going to have done his homework, going to looked out for all these maps, and they're just going to come out here. And I think it's going to be a closer match than most would be expecting, but I think Mouse will take it.
Yeah, I think so too. I think we're gonna lean towards. I'm gonna lean towards Mouse. Though I do think if North can find that online level they've had when they qualified for this tournament, I think Mouse is in for a tough task here. Mertz is a great player, and they did beat Space Shoulders on Cobblestone in the third and deciding map to qualify for this tournament. So there's definitely rival on this map. You have to say Mouse are the favorites, and I'm gonna go with Mouse, but I reckon a close match as well.
I'm gonna have to say it's gonna be a Bible thump kind of day here if you're North Academy.
A quick game's a good game.
A quick game could be a good game, but most likely they're going to have their work cut out for them. I'm going to have to go with Mousesports. This Oscar guy seems to know how to play Counter-Strike. I don't know how that happened, but nuts. He's crazy.
It when we're unanimous.
Yeah, united.
Yeah.
A united front here at the DreamHack ASTRO Open. Either way, let's go ahead and bring in our commentators who also probably have a few words to say a little bit about this matchup. Guys, what are we feeling?
Yeah, I think I agree that this is going to be closer than many people may think, but I would go with Mousesports. You know, being the first game of the day as well for both teams definitely does add a bit of spice to this matchup, but I think Mousesports should come out ahead.
I think that is as well, fair to say. North Academy, though, I mean, they're very capable on a map like Cobblestone, despite not needing Mertz in this particular situation. Like, of all the BO3s that they played in order to qualify, they played Cobble 3 of 4 times, won it over Kingwin, LDLC, and then, as Pimp was just saying, Space Soldiers, and that's no easy feat.
Just quickly, we're playing musical chairs here. Scrawny, I'm going to need, after you've casted with Vince, thank you, Vince, for coming in and alleviating me from embarrassing myself anymore. So I'm going to need a rating on who your favorite casting partner from today was, and I'm going to expect my name to be towards the top.
That's a lot of pressure.
Yeah, look.
Yeah, Scrawny, really getting around today, I think, is really the sentiment we have to put out there. But it is just about time to live on 3. Scrawny, go ahead and take it away, guys.
You know, Sponge, you're not supposed to put all your eggs in one basket, so it's for that reason that I've been passing my partners.
That is probably the mistake I've been making in life then.
Yeah, I've been doing it wrong all these years.
Diversify a little bit more, I suppose.
And this got deep real fast.
It got deep, it got weird, and that's where we're going to leave it. Go ahead and take it, guys.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. I mean, you casted the qualifier coming into this event, right? And so we actually had a little bit of a conversation when it came to North Academy and how we maybe had high hopes for them. And I think that Cobblestone, again, is a really good place for them to be playing this map out on.
No, I totally agree. And, you know, we were kind of highlighting the likes of Mertz and Gade, etc., to be the kind of players that you want to stand up to the plate and deliver. And again, Mousesports, a team that they can be hit and miss themselves. You know, consistency is a word that we throw around a lot in Counter-Strike, and for good reason. Many teams do struggle with that. So, with it being the first game of the day, I definitely think this is going to be much closer than the last best of one that we witnessed, or at least what most people would think of against Rise Nation and Gambit. But ultimately, I mean, you can see there as well that a lot of people favoring Mousesports, 83-17. I would say that's about fair.
I can't help but feel like if we had come into this event with last weekend at the WESG event not occurring, right? Not watching North Academy, then just kind of fall short playing on land, that expectations might be even higher. But they have nothing but, you know, upwards trajectory based off of their performance at that most recent event. And again, a little bit more of a question mark now, because that was their expected event to, I mean, 3 of the 5 teams in their group there were going to move on to the next stage of the tournament. And they fell short from that, which puts everything in question. All the success that they found in the Mountain Dew League, all the success that they found in those online qualifiers, it now does have that asterisk just next to it. So this would be a great opportunity now for them to bounce back. It's just a problem, of course, that it's against the hardest opponent they've ever had on LAN.
I think it's definitely a fair statement to make. And plus the other thing as well, you know, we're focusing on North Academy a lot because obviously they're kind of the more unknown element for most people. The fact of the matter is that in the last 9 maps of CS, Mousesports only lost 1. And that was against Astralis on Nuke. These guys are coming into this game in pretty good form, and it includes 2 victories on Cobblestone against Virtus Pro and Envious. And collectively, only 6 rounds were lost. 5 against VP, and they went 16-1 against Envious. So these guys on Cobblestone recently have been pretty damn good.
And you know what? Chalk up North Academy for being successful on Cobble, beating VP and Envy. Those are another 2 great Cobblestone teams. So I feel like Mousesports have then just put themselves into a prime position to quickly dispatch of this, which gets scary, unfortunately, for North Academy, seeing as what a rude awakening. But Rise Nation know all about it as well, right? You do make that jump into the next tier of tournament, and sometimes this is what greets you at the door.
I mean, that's the other thing as well, North Academy. You know, we've touched on the fact that they aren't as experienced, and of course, I mean, the clues in their name, their upcoming bunch of players. Maybe there is an element of some of that pressure is off their shoulders now. They've had the poor performance. The only way is up at the previous event, and so in essence, they come through and they're thinking, look, we're probably not going to win this, right? So let's just have fun. Let's just get some momentum going under our way, see if we can maybe cause a couple of upsets. It is a best of 1 after all. Anything can happen in a best of 1. You win both pistols, you get the 2 rifle rounds, and you've already, you know, more than half your way towards the end goal. So it's not as if this is impossible, but if they start doubting themselves, if they start, you know, respecting Mousesports too much, for me, that's a recipe for disaster. They've just got to go in with this completely free-minded.
Yeah, I think there's a prime example in our opening game of the day. Rise Nation as well, not wanting to necessarily go full throttle versus a team like Gambit because they understand what's on the other side. And playing that kind of reserve mentality can ultimately cost you because guys like Mousesports will run away with opportunities like that. It's almost like you have to balance it perfectly between playing your own game but also obscuring your opponents, not letting them, you know, set up and perform to their own expectations and strats. And again, Mousesports having that core of, I would argue, Rops, Oscar, and Sunny statistically as of late have really been that trio of players that are kind of going above and beyond. And Oscar on an AWP is an excellent opponent for Mertz to try his hand against. It's just a bit of a shame that we end up on Cobblestone because I would have loved to watch that op duel being a little bit more prevalent. And while we may certainly still get it, maybe over towards Long B, some early A picks, it's going to fall more so onto the riflers.
Sure, I totally agree with that. I think on Cobblestone, you don't necessarily even need to have an op on the T side. You can just go for more sort of AKs and more up close and personal. I mean, you know, North Academy, speaking of North, back when they used to have Rubino and in previous incarnations with MSL, they used to go for a lot of full AK purchases and just rush out onto B. They have Rubino using the platform, loads of smokes, loads of flashes, just get all up in the face of the CTs and just storm the B site. So I agree, it's maybe going to be a bit of a downer considering we may not see those epic AWP duels, but you may even see like 2 AWPs coming into play on the CT side. I mean, Mousesports, you already mentioned Oscar. Chris J, of course, is no mug when it comes to the AWP. This guy can bang as well. So it wouldn't surprise me if Mousesports get into a decent economic position that they do go for double AWPs on that CT side.
Speaking of that, I mean, I think that's just evidence of just how great Oscar can be on an AWP. If you have a guy like Chris J who recognizes and is willing to take that step back from what was once his primary weapon, it's an argument in and of itself. But you know, that's true. Op depth on the CT side of Cobbles can certainly help out a guys on Mousesports. Unfortunately, I feel then like North Academy are going to have their real work set out for them trying to crack through a setup like that. I'm actually really curious to see how North Academy will play the CT side in terms of connector control, because there's one thing that I always love watching the real North for, and that's the way that MSL will constantly commit himself to playing underneath the window inside of connector. He will rotate to either bomb site and leave them sectioned into the 2-2 defense, and I want to see if North Academy will take that page out of their book. You know, Pimp was speaking of how they look up to that next level of CS above them, and as this is the Academy team, I'd love to draw parallels.
Absolutely. This is North Academy's chance to really stamp their authority and get themselves on the board, but Cyclone, right off the bat, nade to the face of Oscar. Not long for this world. And that's going to open up A nicely now. It's going to be a forced rotation from Robs, but he's by and large by himself for a little while here.
We'll get into the back of the site as Stico gets closer towards the door, but again, utility here from North Academy is going to help out with the push, and while Rops gets an easy headshot, he takes himself a second. Finally responded back by Mertz, but it's still the 3v3, and Stiko is up close here.
Gonna go down though. So all ROPS in this round, really, for Mousesports. The only player to get any frags is now all on Chris J. He's seen a free kill into Cyclone, but Mertz is going to side sweep him in the meantime. And North Academy start off in winning ways. They convert the kill onto Oscar, into that all-important pistol round. And this is exactly what we're talking about. These are the keys to success if North Academy are going to cause the upset today.
I mean, that was a serious tempo setter right away. Frag grenade, push, commit through and through, no hesitation, and a nice follow-up with that smoke grenade as well. Sure enough, they allowed ROPS a bit of space to come in and catch those 2 kills. But, you know, had they maybe even found him towards APC, had they not had that even moment's hesitation, then that's an even more convincing site take. And sure enough, with Chris J attempting the retake, it wasn't really long for much. So North Academy, just don't lose versus the force buy, right? That's always the biggest question. Do newer and upcoming teams make that mistake and kind of over-respect Mousesports as they will have this broken buy? If you give them room to work with, you know these guys can hit headshots.
Oh, definitely. The thing is with North Academy, and Pimp did touch on this as well on the desk, you know, the 3 keys to how they could be a good team. It is stacked with good players on North Academy. They are very versatile, solid individual players. Saw some of them way back in Copenhagen games earlier this year, and they really stood out to me as well. The likes of Mertz, for example, has been on the radar for quite some time. So I think Mousesports, you know, if they do take North Academy lightly and don't give them full respect, you could see an upset today. I assume that we're into a bit of a tactical timeout right now, or, well, probably technical. But it looks like we are ready to jump live back into the action with 4 Desert Eagles and a P250. Heavy investment for Mousesports. And North Academy coming in with 3 assault rifles of their own. So we're not going to see any Mac 10 shenanigans. Most teams will run with one of those in these kind of rounds.
Stiko wanting to find some positioning up close here. It is, of course, going to be that early B-site stack from Mousesports, but keeping eyes on drop down as well will be Sunny inside connector. And this actually gives space for Oscar to work out towards long. So just trying to feel up the setup here, trying to find an opening if they can. I mean, if Oscar could get that Deagle headshot onto A-core at a distance, then that's huge. It's going to probably force the hands of North Academy, get them moving quicker into this B-bomb site where they have put themselves towards, but have actually opted to let these smokes fade and ensure that they can come in clearly. But again, there's another volley here from Mousesports, so we're just going to burn down some time.
That pretty much is just the order of play right now. And North Academy probably trying to bait out some of this utility that Mousesports possess as well. They really are down to their last few nades, 3 flashes and a smoke. So North Academy in no great rush, still plenty of time left on the board. And Cyclone now going to use that molly to somewhat mask his drop down with a UMP. But he's by himself, the rest of his team still not really committing. I mean, they can push through mid, but we're only going to start to see the play now.
Yeah, Oscar will see these players coming up from ramp, and while he deals damage towards Borup, it's he who gets the kill. Cyclone already in a fantastic spot to section off the rotation, and so while Chris J walks by, he's then quickly cleaned up. ROPS with a response, but still a 4v3, and of course, Stiko could pinch these Ts into the bomb site. Plant's gonna come through surely, but maybe they can get some damage done.
That really is all they can hope for at this point, especially as Stiko's gone down. A-Core will dispatch of him. ROPS and Sunny have plenty of to save here. They really, UMP and a Deagle into the next round would not be bad at all. Plus, ROPS has a Deagle of his own, so he could drop that to someone else on his team. 3 power plays potentially coming up for the CT. So definitely don't want to throw any of these away. Maybe Sunny's on the prowl to try and take one of these weapons away from North and save it. But it could cost him his life. He's going to do a lot of damage, takes down A-Core, looking for a second, not going to happen. And I would say overall, probably not worth it. I think saving onto that Deagle and the Kevlar could have been a better boost for Mousesports going through into the next round.
Yeah, having only ROPS invested for this third is definitely going to be a lackluster situation. Of course, you can still find impactful positions if, by chance, the North Academy does walk into you, right? So if he's able to get himself just under the broken wall, maybe inside of drop down, get 1 or 2 engagements to go his way and soften up the cash here from North, would be fantastic. But speaking of cash, there's the Mac 10s that you alluded to, Vince.
Yeah, so going for it against the lack of armor as opposed to the lack of head armor. You can get behind this, of course. I think it's all about that farming frenzy in effect now. And again, it's just ROPS. He has dropped the Deagle to Oscar, who wasn't too far off landing a headshot onto A-Core there. He needs to be very careful. Would have heard the bullets whiz past his head. But this should be business as usual for North Academy. It's hard to see how they lose this round.
I think it's really just going to boil down to, can ROPS get close enough to find a couple of kills, or do the CTs just get simply overwhelmed straight away? And we actually see a repositioning from Mousesports, opting not to try and hold them on platform, but rather the bomb site itself, which makes sense. With those pistols up close, you can find some damage, maybe through a smoke or off of the back of a flash. And while North Academy get themselves closer and closer, it's actually Rops who comes in from behind. And if only that smoke didn't give him cover, but as it fades, he catches the back of Borup, and with a kill, will have drop in his hands.
Now 3 players stacked on the box. Unfortunately, they moved out just a little bit too early. And Mertz alongside Gade will tag team their way into a triple kill. Still 2 players left alive. And fair enough to Rops, he still maintains 88 of his health and has picked up 2 frags. So this isn't completely on the realms of possibility, but it's asking a lot as the second weapon is only a Mach 10 against Kevlar.
Sure enough, Mertz would be an easy target. It's for that reason that he resides in the corner. Gade gonna come out, and down he goes. Rops on 3 now. So again, all things considered, not necessarily fighting for the round, but at least a little more impact, and now it's the round that's in question. Time is still playable here, but Acor on damage control with a flash going high will flash himself. And Oscar up close with a Mach 10 could still find the kill, but it's the defuse in question, and, well, the push doesn't go his way. Acor cleaning it up, but hell, great round there from Mousesports.
Absolutely, yeah. Kill bonus for Rops. He got a bunch of kills in the process, 3 in total, I think. They took down a bunch of weapons as well, albeit 2 of them were Mach 10s. So it does definitely hurt the terrorists and boost the CT's economy. But for me, the main issue there was North Academy seemed to panic a little bit at the end. We may have seen some of their lack of veterancy when it comes to playing at this sort of caliber come into effect. You know, 1-by-1 peaking, losing their lives to SMGs. And Acor, you saw him flash himself, he was almost panicking at the end. So that could have gone horribly wrong if there was a kit in play.
We're gonna have that closer position currently held by Stiko. Gonna get caught on a UMP, but with a flash at his feet, he still stands. Chris J's nearby. What an awkward situation. But it's already starting to unfold here as that first headshot connects, and Stiko will linger just inside the smoke.
Still in there. They're blocking each other for a good 5 or 10 seconds in that smoke, and finally he's going to show his hand. There's 1 kill, not able to get a second. Acor prowling around the back, but the bomb has been dropped, meanwhile from Rops. And now Mertz and Acor have to try and retrieve the bomb. The good news is there's plenty of time left alive. The bad news is that Acor's all by his lonesome. He clutched the last round. Can he go one better? This time it is against the Norpon and M4. No weakened players on Mousesports this time. A must-win round, and they've connected the dots as Rops puts a bullet between the eyes. And Mousesports get on the board.
It's wild to me that Stiko's able to keep himself alive for that long. I mean, he had a very real opportunity at coming up with more than just 1 kill there, but we see these trade frags going back and forth as that frantic situation can unfold. And sure enough, it is Mousesports in that 2 versus 2 to come out on top. And I would say crucially so. North Academy had themselves a great little start, but because of that costly round and the fact that they then win the follow-up, look at the buy here from North Academy. It's atrocious. Sure enough, the 2 AKs can find their impact, but with 3 players on pistols and walking into a double op setup, this could be Mousesports starting to add them to the board early on.
And this, in a nutshell, is why that previous round where I believe it was Rops got 3 kills with UMP catches up with North. They lost so many weapons in that last round that this is the result. Even on the T side, you're going to start to struggle economically speaking. We did discuss as well that how quick would Mousesports elect, I should say, to go for the double op setup on the CT side? Well, there's the answer. The first opportunity they've had, they've gone for it. They've gone all in on this double op composition. Very important they don't allow these pistols to get up close and personal, because that's where the AWP will definitely start to struggle.
Of course, knowing that the economy is low, it's not as though they're going to have to go into an op duel. Don't need it on the T side, but it would be a way to find that distanced 5v4. But it's distance that they'll have to close if they want to find this round. They've done a good job of at least getting that early A positioning. Little standard setup, but it's the bomb that lingers on, so that's also going to have to fall back here. It's not as though they're going to leave that anchor in order to come in behind connector once they execute towards B. In fact, it's Borup who's going to try to get himself closer towards drop, flashed by Stiko, who thinks about the peak, but decides not to go all in.
Now likes to go for it, unfortunately for Borup. He's looking the wrong angle. Was in drop by his lonesome side, multiple angles to cover, and it's just a complete bloodbath. Out they walk 1-by-1, and the superior weaponry is going to claim the round. Rops comes through with a quick-fire double at the end. Mousesports do put 2 together. That should be the terrorists now onto an eco.
curious to me, of course, that they go for that earlier A setup and then don't at least leave somebody close, not even trying to create any noise or any kind of a distraction to draw rotators away from the B bomb site. And then even once they go back towards B for their execution, it's almost disjointed in the sense that Borup gets into position earlier on, and within that small gap of time, Mousesports are able to start unpeeling that offense. Sure enough, the then, you know, desperate flood off of the platform is all they have to work with, and well, we see how it goes the way of the CTs. Look to get aggressive on that AWP. Chris J finding the first. Of course, it is just versus pistols, so an easy cleanup already happening here by Stiko on the sidearm. Acor and Mertz with just the Glocks and a lot to get done here.
Oh yeah, and now Gade's Deagle, the only upgraded pistol that came through into this round to be working against the terrorists. Mertz will feel just how powerful a Desert Eagle can be. And Acor and his Glock, all that remain. He's about to get spotted by Stiko, who has eyes on the bomb as well. So it's just a case of biding their time. Really, if North could get a single kill out this round, it would be mission accomplished. I'm not sure that's even going to happen because Chris J is tapping away at his USP. He's taking quite a bit of damage, but there we have it. Finally, Mousesports will even us up at 3 apiece.
Now, I think this is where the depths of North Academy comes into question, right? How do they bounce back from having possessed the momentum, the opportunity, and having lost it? Do we see some kind of an AWP on Mertz? Nope. It's just going to be the AK's utility. And an early B-site presence. Again, going to be putting Acor alone towards that long A position. Last time we saw this, we actually eventually watched that B-site collapse. They will boost somebody up towards the platform yet again. So just watching Mousesports, ensuring that they're not going to get too aggressive, as we did see in the anti-eco. I mean, that's another thing, right? Do Mousesports, now that they get themselves tied up, get over-ambitious? That's what North Academy are banking on, and as they push towards long, they lose their first player, so the setup pans out, and Chris J falls back.
Yeah, this is where the respect I was talking about before may start to become an issue. If Mousesports get too carried away, a bit too cocky, and assume that they can just impose their will on North Academy, that's where mistakes can happen. And again, because of their heavy investment with double ops, they're not completely out the woods just yet themselves. Chris J's low, he has to turn tail and run away. There'll be a hail of gunfire piercing the smoke. But North Academy still retain all 5 players, and they've got some real estate. They're down into drop zone.
Acor's coming to join the offense as well. We'll bring up the rears. They look to split 2-2 currently. Bomb towards drop down. Sunny on the other side of the window, now positioning as his teammate comes over. So I feel like Mousesports are understanding that this beast-height hit is coming. And sure enough, off of the volley of nades it will. But a smoke down allows Rops to spray for 2. They don't even check it, and my God. Rops and Sunny with 5 simultaneous frags. It's a full house on the B site.
Well, that's a rip. As you say, didn't check it, assumed that that alcove was clear. And the one time that they don't check it, Rops will have himself a meal. Nicely done. As free of frags he could ask for, though. You can see a little smile on his face. And he's 14 for 2. Here, Scrawny. That's not a bad score.
That's a Hobbit level performance.
It is.
I mean, that's exactly what actually dispatched of Rise Nation. The fact that they had no individual talent that could really compete to somebody playing at their ceiling. And so now it's versus Rops. Not a major winner as of yet, but still a very promising young guy.
So again, just Eagles really to play with. CZ, the flashbang. Very split up, though, North Academy. Often when you see a flash purchased, you think it's going to be some kind of a pop into an all-out rush onto the site, but not the case at the moment. They're looking to try and pick and mix their way to a victory. They do have the Eagles, so I mean, it's possible. But Mousesports are just holding on. It's a bit too difficult. Sunny up close, spraying down Mertz. 2 players already fallen. Mousesports looking in cruise control. Gate. Is he going to get that kill? Decide to screw this them off.
Will fall away. I mean, North Academy had gone for some pretty individual setups there, just looking to win on multiple fronts, and instead they've won on none. Even Gade, who tried to come join his teammates, is now coming into an empty house. Actually, it's occupied. Sunny towards the staircase. Will spot the last man standing. Gade would love just a headshot, something for his efforts, and he will find it. AK up next. Can he get a follow-up? I mean, there's certainly damage to be dealt here. Double op setup's been pretty heavy. Had kills in a couple of rounds, but now it is definitely Mousesports getting their economic legs beneath them. And the rounds as well to follow suit. I really do think that that one gun round where they stampede into the B site, shut down by Rops and Sunny, could have been the changing factor. Now they're going to have to wait until they have another investment. Here it is, op on Mertz.
They do have full round loss bonus coming up now, North Academy. 5-3 looks close, but of course it's important to put in perspective. That was 3 rounds off the back of the pistol. Since then, Mousesports has been dominant, really. Been no close rounds in recent memory. And Oscar just peering up behind that rock, daring someone to show him a pixel. I think he just saw the AK above the rock as the play actually switched, and Oscar pounces on Cyclone, looking for seconds. The bomb's also dropped out in a pretty horrible position, actually, for North, but I like that Oscar decides not to overstay his welcome. He's got the pick, no point staying around and giving your life away, just back off.
Yeah, especially with Mertz firing op shots back at him, right? He knows the likelihood of a trade frag there from an AWP is higher than he feels comfortable with. It's actually going to be Stiko towards platform now, getting information and aggression for the way the CTs. Oscar repositioning, going to get another chance at a pick, but now he should really fall off of this. There are still a couple of angles you can play with long A. A great position for an opper in the sense that, you know, you can just fall back step by step, take a shot, fall back, and you've got a little room to work with, especially having some utility to support. But Stiko on the hunt will find Borup, and that clears out drop downs. So now Mousesports understand exactly what's about to happen. North Academy have nothing but A control.
Absolutely. As soon as Stiko gets the frag and starts to push around the back of the terrorist, the dig is up. And now Sunny, with that nade, could do quite a bit of damage on the push. The bomb's down again. And Mertz has the AWP, it's actually gained from behind that is going to take him out the equation. Time is starting to tick down now. The terrorists have got to make a move onto the site. Mertz with his AWP needs to do something, but it's going to be Chris J, his opposite number, that pulls it off. And now he's stuck on the stables, trying to flick his way to victory. It won't be happening. Too many Mousesports players up in his face, and that's now a 6th round in a row.
Not a situation like on that B-bomb site where they simply just hold off. In fact, it's obscuring the setup there from North Academy that definitely helps Mousesports eventually hold their bomb site. You walk into that in a 3 versus 5, no B control and nothing else to work with. Your hands are pretty much tied, as they will be with this buy. North Academy on a single Galil and 4 pistols, and Oscar, looking ambitious, wants to find a pick. Actually gets caught up on the wall, so he decides to stick around, at least for a moment longer. There's Stiko again with some aggression on platform. We've seen Mousesports go for this in rounds where they think they can assert themselves, and certainly they have already. Cyclone down. Sunny curious, still towards drop. They know that players could linger here.
And it seems to me at North Academy now are just out of ideas already. It does seem to be the same sort of tactics over and over again that just aren't working for them. I haven't really seen any set plays thus far. Which has been somewhat of an issue, because now we're going to see them peak one by one, and this is where Oscar, I mean, he kind of scored a goal there between 2 players. Really should be landing one of those, but I was going to say this is where Oscar should shine. Doesn't really matter anyway, though, because a pop flash into Rops going for a peek is going to afford them a kill. Mertz bounces back with one of his own, but they have very little in terms of utility. In fact, they have absolutely nothing anymore to push through with. So it's just going to come down to the raw Angels. Sunny's going to get the better of Mertz, and Borup is now all alive. And the only one alive for North Academy is going to try and push his way through drop, but the bomb's down. Mousesports have a trifecta of players just watching it. This round is all but done.
At least this time around, we get to see North Academy try to employ the drop-down control, and they don't actually lose their player from a flank off of Stiko. Borup does find that last rotator outwards, and there was an opportunity where North Academy could have just tucked tail, doubled back, and tried to hit that B site. Again, because Borup created the opportunity, but they were so committed to the execution. They were so far up into A, they weren't able to get away. And there's 16K right now on some of the players from Mousesports. Scary prospect, because at this point, with 7 consecutive, you know that Mousesports, even if or when they lose a round, they're going to bounce back with a heavy buy. They can continue this double op setup that they've been successfully employing, and that really does leave them in a driver's seat position here for the rest of the half. But at least we get a tactical pause.
I like this. I think it's an early enough time where they could potentially switch things around. It's not too late where it seems a bit pointless. And if nothing else, just try and slow down the momentum of Mousesports and just take a collective sort of couple of breaths and, you know, try and rack your head around what's been going wrong, because their T side, other than the pistol, has seemed a little bit lackluster, has seemed a bit toothless to me. I'd like to see more set plays. I'd like to see even just a lot rushes. It seems to be very slow paced, kind of hanging around mid. Try and get up in the face of Mousesports. Try and make them uncomfortable, make them second guess. as to what you're going to do in the rounds coming up afterwards.
I mean, the one round that they used to then find 3 was the pistol, and think about how incredibly fast they played. I think I definitely side you here, Vince, in the sense that North Academy have changed their pace incredibly since the start of this game. I mean, this setup as well, this 4-man A setup is so layered. The trade frags are certainly a potential, but they're almost banking on someone from Mousesports overextending. I mean, it makes sense in the fact that Oscar had been prying for info in the bottom of mid multiple rounds. But they're assuming, of course, that Mousesports aren't going to change things up into the tactical pause, which they absolutely do. Playing patiently backwards, of course, would be Oscar towards the A site. Now only pushing Sunny up close next to the smoke. And Stiko again's got footing on long B. So this is Mousesports, to me, who have been taking more initiatives and not being punished for it.
Exactly, and the other thing as well, for North Academy setting up in such ways, it's not necessarily of the mindset of like, we're going to win this round. It's more the mindset, you're going to lose this round. You're going to make a mistake, and we're going to jump on top of that. There's no reason for Mousesports to change anything they're doing. It's been working. The only 3 rounds they lost were because of the pistol round. Other than that, it's been all the rifle rounds going their way, all of them convincingly going their way. Maybe we're going to start to see some picks come in. This is one of the best opportunities that North Academy have had. Can they capitalize on it?
It's going to be bore up towards drop successful yet again. Good utility usage to burn Sunny out of the cubby. And sure enough, the flashbangs convince Oscar back, so he's unable to trade, unable to stop anybody for the time being, but the connector push comes through. Rop's good for only 1, and this puts a lot of pressure on the oppers of Mousesports. 2 versus 4, up close, the no-scope is not good, and so Chris J has to clutch. We might just be watching North Academy find a round, despite the plant coming in very late. They have done it. The pace works out, and Mert seals the deal. That's a 4th for North.
Well, there you have it. The magic of the pause comes into play once again, but as you highlighted before, Scrawny, I mean, there's going to be a buy coming right back at them, and it wouldn't surprise me if we see double AWPs once again. It wasn't really the AWPing that let them down in that round. They just lost a couple of plays, and then the all-out push, as he said, exquisite utility used. I think it was Sunny that just got completely obliterated in mid from the Molotov and the underarm flash. And there we have it. There's the 2 AWPs in play, and Oscar goes for a peek again. He has had quite a lot of success with this, but Mertz straight down in middle, and this is the change of pace we were talking about. I love this from North Academy.
Can Sunny stop it? He will have an angle from the half wall. The T is starting to trickle past. He sprays for just 1 and bore up trades again. Great angle from Mertz, finding Chris J unsuspectingly inside the closets. And so Mertz has now given time for that bomb to join him, right? He sees that very fast opportunity with the pick onto Oscar. They stampede their way forward, knowing that maybe the defense wasn't prepared, and sure enough, they're not. Not only finding an opening frag, but then that immediate rotation kill as well. Fast play, all off the back of the op.
That's what happens. Oscar goes for the peak, didn't realize the players were already right up against him, and a save will come into play. And this is the downside of the CT side. They had so much money just a couple of rounds prior. We were talking about how rich they were. Because of the double op picks, Sunny's down to $400, Stiko's down to $1,700. Of course, that will change at the end of this round, but it's the reason for them saving these 2 weapons. They can afford to get another full purchase in, but if they're to lose that round, North Academy could have Mousesports on the back foot. This may not be over just yet.
I think these last 2 rounds back-to-back is certainly now going to put that in question, at least for Mousesports. They have to understand that North Academy does have a little bit more depth, that they hadn't figured everything out, and that it's no longer smooth sailing. Still very possible that they could just turn it around here and now, but I mean, how many chances are you going to get like this where Mertz just finds a cracking opening and is able to continue onwards? Had Sunny maybe lined up those 2 players and not just gotten 1, he could have kept himself tucked away into the wall. Would have put things at least a little more in question, but for the time being, does North Academy straight back what would be a 3rd consecutive round. Still Mousesports with that double op setup, still spreading their numbers 3-2 with a favor towards the B site, but most notably, Mousesports now no longer playing ramp or lower and doubling down on long A.
Yeah, they want to give as much cover to Oscar as possible as a result of what happened that last round when he was all by himself in mid. Stiko's taken quite a bit of damage. He's down to 57, but pushes through the smoke and the tease. Not expecting that at all, and cheekily scampers away in the smoke. The free pick and run. I like to see it. But Chris J narrowly missing out on his opportunity.
Dodges both frag grenades, the hail of gunfire, and then knows, of course, during that reload that the likelihood of finding a pick are high. So Stiko, who has been aggressive on long, gets it done early on, and now Chris J will try his hand With the op, he finds the first. Sunny as well chiming in with frags here, and this is a perfect round for Mousesports. It's just down to Acor, who's left to find some kind of an impact. Likelihood is he won't be able to save. I'd assume that Mousesports go on the chase. I mean, they've got definite cash to play around with.
I like this. Sticko gives North Academy a taste of their own medicine. You know, we were talking before about how if you play really aggressively, even if it's just 1 or 2 rounds in 15, it really does put doubt in the back of your enemy's mind as to whether you're going to go for an aggressive push that next round or the round after. If you're constantly slow, you just get into a kind of rhythm. And so Sticko pushing the smoke as he did just there, it really is going to screw with North Academy now, because we've already seen them boost up into drop zone, get the frag and go around the back of them. It means they're always going to have to keep a play around drop zone, not allowing them to fully go for A at any point. So I really like what Mousesports have gone for. Acor is being tagged up, but I think it's more just testing the waters for Mousesports. They don't know he's there, so he will keep the AWP in his hands.
So comfort stripped away from Long B in that last round. Again, very nicely done by Sticko, who has gone for flanks before. This time just disrupting the setup of all things. North Academy gonna have to be on their toes now. Again, it's a constant reminder that North Academy will have to work with, that at any given moment, that confidence that they've been starting to build can be easily put in question.
Definitely. They can't take anything for certainty at this point. And then again, Mousesports, they'll also be feeling that a little bit too. You know, Oscar may be thinking, I probably shouldn't go back in mid and peak again. Last time I got wrecked and it lost us the round. Seeing a little bit more passive play now. He is going up into long with a Molotov there. But as soon as that extinguishes, he may have half a mind to just back away slowly. Especially if we start to see some nades come towards his position.
Ooh, sure enough, there's a man now in the danger zone. Oscar shuts it out. Great position for him to flash and fall back, but instead Mertz finds that frag, and now it's going to be up to Rops to try and support Sunny, who doesn't even get a single kill, but at least Rops has control of the ramp. He could just let them pass by him, and with a little bit of delay here from Borup, Rops could certainly get himself into the fray, but flashes go both ways, and now the bomb's delivered straight into his hands. 3 frags back from Mousesports, and it's turned to the 1v2 because Mertz responds with a kill of his own.
Not going to get the second though, and I've got to say, I hate to point out a single player, but Borup completely whiffed against Rops in mid. A flash came down, Borup was behind Rops, had a good 2 or 3 seconds to take him down, and just totally whiffed. Rops takes the kill. That very quickly shifts the dynamic of where the round was going. That really hurts North Academy. Take nothing away from Mousesports. I mean, great work by Chris J at the end. But I feel like that round was North Academy's for the taking. They got the 2 entries. Like, they completely dismantled A apart from Rops. At that point, it should be all systems go. They should be able to take the site.
All right, a little change of pace yet again. We've seen North Academy try to flood mid. It's going to be Sunny on the M4 fully flashed, but still successful in stopping Mertz. Oscar behind the stables looks to now skewer another, but an obstruction blocks his shot. Sunny still finding impact from APC, and sure enough, North Academy, they're struggling to get past this half wall. Cyclone down to 6 HP, and Oscar's going to push him, being low himself, but still being successful in finding double digits here for Mousesports. Led by Rops, who had a rockstar performance here in the first half. Mousesports able to stabilize despite a little question mark being created there by North Academy.
Yeah, not quite as one-sided as I'm sure many people were thinking, especially after Mousesports started to, I think they won 7 rounds in a row or something like that. They were like 7-3 in the lead. You're thinking, okay, this is where the dreams and the hopes of the Danes go into the bathroom, right? Like, this is done. But they did mount a mini comeback. I think overall, though, a couple of big mistakes cost them dearly. On another day, this could easily be like a 9-6, 8-7 scoreline. Like, this could be anybody's map. If they win the second pistol, though, it's game back on.
Yeah, by all means, right? That's a certain way for them to move on over. And I'm actually really interested to see how their CT side is going to unfold. I'm also curious to see if Mousesports now try to really dictate the pace, right? We said that obviously coming into this, they are going to be those favorites. They have that individual prowess that can really be unlocked. And especially with Rops already performing well, you know he's going to feel good coming into the T side. I wouldn't be surprised to watch him try and find some space for his teammates, watch him try to find some entries. And can guys like North Academy even hold that back? It's out of their hands now.
Well, one of my concerns about Mousesports here is that they were very heavily dependent on their double AWP setup. That's not going to be anywhere near as influential or as impactful on the T side. We've already discussed this, that sometimes AWPing on the T side can actually be kind of rough to try and make opportunities out of nowhere. Mert is going to see himself just rushed down by 4 terrorists with Oscar watching the backside of long, and already Mousesports, very similarly to how North Academy actually approached the pistol, are straight through and have taken so much area for themselves. North Academy aren't too sure as to what's happening, but they do have the flanker of Borup, which is giving them so much information.
I like that. Very ambitious from Borup. He definitely tries to get that positioning just in case they double back, but with a moment's hesitation, Mousesports now, they've decided to trek onwards. Oscar and Rops with 2, 3, and Chris J the 4th. Mousesports win their pistol, and that's now dire straits here for the Academy team.
Yeah, and the other thing I was going to say is that Rops, most of his kills were fairly static frags, where he was just kind of pivoting on a swivel, like as a turret. He was just wrecking players. You're thinking that B platform play where he picked up 3 frags, no one checked his position. So I was going to say that a worry for Mousesports, if they didn't get this pistol, maybe how is the entry going to come into play? Because we didn't really see much. That's a right click to Cyclone. I'm all for love taps, mate, but that's a step too far. What have you done that for?
A little too violent for my liking. It's your utility man as well, so you definitely don't want him to go down early on.
You just know he's mad triggered right now. He's like, come on, bruh. I'm down to 39 health.
Mousesports weren't enough of a challenge. Ooh, the sawed-off. I can get behind this. Always position dependent, but he's already got his footing towards the drop room, and this is where this weapon will excel. Of course, it's once he has to help out on platform that things become in question. But first man up will be Borup. Hides in the cubby, looks the wrong way, and flicks right back. So there we have it. Shotgun now in the hands of the CT side, and you can now allocate that towards platform, and it becomes a very real threat.
Oh, yeah. Definitely. It's interesting as well to see how the composition of weaponry is different between the two teams, because North Academy on their T side went for 3 assault rifles and 2 UMPs. Mousesports with the Sawn-Off and a MAC-10. So definitely wanting more of that, those dollar bills in their back pocket. Is it going to cost them? Acor, that nade I think just bounced off his forehead, and then Chris J finished off the rest. Unfortunate, but that's the way it goes sometimes. Bomb's going to get planted, and North Academy, who tried to stack on B with the aforementioned Sawn-Off, may just want to save. Come back into the next round, see if they can get some work done. For me, there's very little chance they clutch this round, so just save what you have.
Good decision there from Mousesports. They offer up the sawed-off, and then they just circumvent the biggest threat by heading towards that A site. They recognize that odds are it's going to be played in drop down and plat. That's where I'd put a shotgun on CT side, and sure enough, move away. Of course, maybe if Acor finds a little bit more positioning, he could have got a kill, but like you said, that forehead grenade really just stopped him dead in his tracks.
Yeah, he just got completely obliterated as soon as he jumps out from balcony. Borup doesn't want to lose this Sawn-Off. It's a way for them to get back in. Plus the CZ that he could drop across the Acor. So dual purpose in him not dying. So at least, you know, trying to look at the silver linings over the very dark cloud looming overhead. North Academy do say 4 or 5 weapons if you include the sidearm for Acor, I believe it was in the end. So, no, sorry, Borup, pardon me. So he has dropped that across the Acor. Everyone has a bit of power in their back pocket now.
It's one of those prime examples of what will happen if you just don't throw all of your guns to the wind on a second round buy, right? You get a decent positioning. Try again. Of course, it's going to be still versus the 2 rifles and SMGs, but there's a lot of players standing towards this A site as Mousesports begin to trickle in, trying to get past the half wall. Oscar opens up. Unfortunately, so far, these Deeg shots have all gone amiss. With Sunny getting a TK in here, it takes the 2 versus 3, but damage control by Sunny himself leaves it all on Borup, and shotgun at a distance, best of luck.
Yeah, you do about 2 hit points of damage and not much else. However, if they get close to him, that's where the shotgun really does come into its own. But Oscar's not going to allow it to come to fruition. 8-round lead now for Mousesports. After going 3-0 behind, they lead 13-5. We are going to have a purchase for the CTs, but we're getting towards the last chance saloon now for North Academy if they want to bring this back.
Wonder if they'll draw out the double op setup. No, they won't. I don't think that Cash would have afforded it unless they had decided to go maybe a glass cannon. But we did watch Mousesports pull it out straight away, right? Not using it as a response, but rather an initiator. Right now, it's going to be the fast B play, so really putting North here into question. Can they handle the heat that Mousesports begin to send out? Borup certainly can. Mertz and Cyclone as well, chiming in for 3 frags in total, taking it down to Stiko and Rops. They still got footing towards this B site, but they've got a lot of opponents ahead of them.
You can understand why Mousesports went for this. They had Mac 10s and not great weaponry, but you've got to say, hats off to North Academy. They handled that rush extremely well. And if they can hold on to the 4 weapons and take down Rops without any more of a fight, I mean, this is a fantastic round to build their economy, their confidence. They're going to lose gained, and now it is just a case of damage control for North Academy. This is actually also in the realms of possibility, a potential clutch. Rops has time. He doesn't have possession of the bomb, though, which is a huge issue, especially as Mertz has an AWP and can just train that on the doors.
Can't help but feel like had someone still been isolated towards the A site, it becomes that much more likely. Maybe Rops can take it down to just a 1v2, but with all 3 CTs this close to the site, again, sitting on that bomb, the likelihoods are slim. Rops spotting a man on the jiggle peak. Of course, the man side by side is low HP, so this next kill could be doable. And the man at a distance couldn't trade, but he will still find his kill. Mertz swinging wide will find the angle. That was scary for a moment.
Oh yeah, I was really confused as to why they were peeking him 1 by 1, but I guess Mertz was more occupied towards long, assuming that he'd gone all the way around the back. And that's one of the reasons why Rops is taking his sweet time to push the doors, because it does like mind gaming your enemy, thinking, well, is he rotating all the way around? Like, we have to put one player there. It splits each of them up effectively into 3 1v1s. But I've got to say, even though Rops lost that round, he did a lot of damage. You can see here North Academy's economy is still not great. They've got a FAMAS and a UMP, and not many nades on the likes of Mertz and Borup.
This time, not everyone from Mousesports looking to get towards B early on, sending Rops as a feeler almost. But he actually finds the cubbies, so if Cyclone doesn't suspect this, he could be the first to fall, and that will then act as the trigger for Mousesports, allowing everybody to push up here. Rops could single-handedly dismount this entire defense. It all comes down to timing. But he should have been spotted.
Yeah.
So he decides to go. It's traded straight back, though.
Sure, Cyclone's having a bit of a facepalm moment that he actually ended up dying there. It's all on Stiko. So again, North Academy, it was looking a bit rough for them when Rops got into the alcove, but since then, it's been pretty solid. Stiko butchers Borup through the flashbang. And that's going to leave a mark. Flashing over, does land on the player on statue, who is actually very low, so that Molotov could start to become a bit of a nuisance if Akor's not careful. He wants to scamper off. Now, the good news for Stiko is he has control of the bomb, and there is still time left if he wants to go for the rotation. Oh my goodness, that shot was disgusting, but unfortunately for Stiko, he doesn't land the second. That would have put us down into a one-on-one. Akor's only down to 13 health though, and he's picked up the second frag as well. It's now down to just a 13 HP Akor against a 39 Stiko. Pretty much the next bullet will finalize this round. Time is starting to tick down, but again, Stiko around the side is going to get the clutch, and North Academy have just been spanked.
What a clutch from Stiko. That first shot through the wall with the AWP is disgusting. You could see him shuffling the weapons, knowing that he had to take it down to a numbers game, and that the AWP would be fantastic for it. I mean, hell, even that fully flashed headshot is a way to kick this off. Isolates them one after another, hits the headshots, crucially so, and then finds timing versus Akor where he has the health advantage. What a sickening round there from Stiko, and what a sickening situation now for North Academy. They have to come in with a UMP and this patched together buy on pistols. That round in and of itself just stripped away what could have been a confidence builder for North.
For sure, it's so hard to see how they come back now. They've gone in for an all-in. You're looking at 15-6. They'll have very little economy, similar sort of purchase in the next round if they were to lose this. Mousesports in style from Stiko, who's seen a player and he decides to go straight past. He's going to call out to the rest of his team. All right, boys, there's one on ladder. Take him down and push. It's going to be 1-for-1 trade. This allows Stiko to get right up close with Borup, who had no idea that a player would be there. That's the reason he let that first player cross. Stiko's playing like next level stuff right now, but unfortunately, the rest of his team have been getting massacred. North Academy actually have the player advantage.
Got a man to watch the cross, but that's blocked off by the Molotov, and sure enough, Oscar takes it. 2v2 now. At least guns retrieved. Mirrored per side as the UMP and AK. Tidbits of utility as well for each lineup, but speaking of lineups, they nearly do. Oscar repeaks, finding Cyclone at a 15th round for Mousesports now, as a 9-round comeback is what is needed, even just for OT. There was definitely glimmers of hope, I would say, for North Academy. They had some footing even in the second half, despite losing Pistol and really going down to that round deficit. But, well, Stiko has other ideas.
Yeah, that play was an absolute joy to watch, but at the same time, you felt this gut-wrenching hurt for North Academy as any comeback was completely squashed. As I said, the next buy would be very poor, and here we have it with the Scout and Pistols. Nearly line up for Cyclone. Did a bunch of damage to Stiko, but the rest of Mousesports are there and in position. Acor with a no-scope is going to connect the shot, but Chris J still has 4 health. And this is the House of Cards coming crumbling down. North Academy need Gay to go 1-on-4. If they want any chance, then it's not going to happen. Mousesports in style with a 26-9 ROPS will take the map in convincing fashion.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, ROPS really kicked this one off as far as, kills are concerned. I think that's how we watch Mousesports find that commandeering lead moving into the second half. And again, moments of hope for North Academy, not just in particular rounds, but they also would then fall short on some, right? Not finding any kills in gun rounds, for example, allowed for Mousesports to have that massive economic buffer, and really ran away with it. But hell, I would still say a good showing for a first game, especially on a stage like this, coming off of a rough weekend last event, and at least something to praise. I would say it's the same thing for Rise Nation. They've given us an opportunity to at least praise some of their gameplay, but the odds were always stacked against them. There's no doubting it.
Yeah, I think most people, this will be as they expected, right? Like, this was a little bit more one-sided than the last best of one that we watched, but it's all about the woulda, shoulda, couldas, where North Academy, if Stiko doesn't get that ridiculous clutch, they're probably getting another 2 or 3 rounds minimum. I mean, they could have made it a bit more close. They could have got double digits, but that's the nature of Counter-Strike, man. It's a cruel temptress sometimes and can really backfire on you. And ultimately, the better team won. It's really that simple.
By all means. And I think that we do get to actually see a similar showing to what North Academy could do online when it is in terms of Mertz. He did have an incredible game, did have some nice op shots as well. But speaking of pleasing, it's Paul on the stage.
Thank you so much, Connor. I'm stood here right now with Stiko from Mousesports. That was a pretty convincing scoreline. What's the difference between playing an academy team and a normal team?
Well, the difference is obvious in skill, I would say, and also the kind of team play. We always struggle against North, the A team. Against Academy, we had a easier time, but it's just because probably they don't have that much experience, but they will get there for sure, so good luck to them.
Was there anything in particular in the match that you think could have gone better, even considering the scoreline?
Yeah, I think our pistols, we started 0-3 basically, and we lost CT pistol. I think we should work on that a bit. I'm not really sure what happened there. I think they counterplayed us in alley where they double-naded Oscar and he didn't even get the chance to shoot. So I guess that was the main reason we lost first 3 rounds. So yeah, we'll work on that.
Moving on from that, you have a chance now to play either Envious or Big. Who would you prefer? How do you think that those matchups could play out?
We're really comfortable against Envious. Against BIG, I don't remember where we played them last time, actually. But Envious would be a good fit for us. We beat them recently online, but obviously it was online. It will be different here. So I don't really care, to be honest. We will beat both of them, so that's good.
Okay, and what kind of finish are you looking for here?
We definitely came to win the tournament. It will be a good setback for us to end the year. Obviously, this is not the last tournament for us, but it's coming close to an end. And probably we'll get a good grip before ECS in Cancun.
Awesome. Final thing then, Martin, overall, are you happy so far with how you guys have done this year and going into closing it out? And just in general, how is the life of Martin?
The life of Martin is always lit. It's getting litter every day. So I would say it was a great year for us. I obviously joined the lineup only a few months ago, so it's only a half a year for me, but it was successful than before, so more successful than ever before for me. So I would say it was a good decision to be part of this team.
Awesome. Well, best of luck to you and the guys, and we will see you very, very soon. For now, let's head back to Stunner and the guys on the desk.
Now, I said something along the lines of Bible thump there for North Academy. And I don't think I was wrong. So, guys, what happened?
They got beat. They got beat.
Outstanding. And that is analysis you cannot pay for. You cannot buy that.
That's why I get
Actually
paid the big bucks, you know. But no, we talked about, you know, the win conditions for North, and they were few and far between, and one of them came to fruition, and that was Mertz having an impact, right? He had impact on the pistol round, and then they got 3 rounds off the back of that, right? They were able to convert. He had an AWP round on the CT side where he was able to pick up some kills. There was another round on the T side where he's gone straight through mid doors. He's killed Oscar, gone up middle, found another one. He had impact, and he is the only reason that they were able to put any rounds on the board. Everybody else, you know, either they were nervous, or they need to get a bit more experience, or they just needed to wake up. The situations were there. There was multiple times where players were choking on the side of North Academy. That one round, I think, remember, was it Borup was coming up mid behind Rops? Yeah, and they should have had that. They already had the A bomb side on lock, and if Rops went down, they would have been able to convert that round. It's just, you know, little things. The little things.
Little things add up to big things. And speaking of things that we have for you at home, Pip, what time is it?
It's time for a little drawing here on the Samsung board, so we can show you guys how it actually went down. One of the rounds were, that I found interesting is this one. It was 3-0 for North, as you said. They capitalized on winning the pistol round, and this is the first buy round for Mousesports. So this is a very important round for them to get into the game. And one of the things I want you to notice is
Oh, you've done a me. You've done a classic.
I don't know you.
That's all right. Yeah.
Good. Okay, we'll not draw then. We'll just focus on Styko playing this area all by himself. You know, you can see the setup for North. They're doing ready for a B execute, as we talked about MSL Classic from the North team. They're doing ready for that B execute, and he literally has no backup besides from Chris J playing all the way back on the side with an M4. So he's left in a tough position, and I want you guys to focus on what happens here when they do the B execute. Styko is nading and doing everything he can possibly to stay alive, and look how much trouble he's in right here. You'd assume he's dead by then. You'd assume he's over and he can't do anything, but he managed to stay alive for, I think it's around 15 seconds from this point. You can see the round timer in top of the screen, and he keeps staying alive, and that allows Mousesports, you can see all over the map, to rotate towards B side. Styko is still alive, even after Chris J goes down, he's still alive, and it makes North Academy to doubt that there can only be one guy holding this B plat area. He must be somewhere. And still he managed to go in, get a frag, and do some damage to the North Academy guys. One of the things that I think Mousesport didn't capitalize on this great play by Styko is that they didn't rotate properly. They're still all the way back. You still have Rubs playing behind pits area. You still have Oscar inside drop area, and you still have Sonny behind the stone. Right, where they could have pushed towards the side and they could have helped him way more. He did the perfect play, basically, staying alive for that long, and Mousesports didn't even capitalize on it.
I think it was actually funny when that played out, right? Because he just acted as a piece on the board, blocking the players from North being able to jump out Broken Wall, because it looked like the idea what they wanted to do was more of an explosion as opposed to like a full-on execute. And with Styko just standing there in the smoke and not allowing them to move, it basically just hampered their attack. And you saw on this replay here that they all had to move to the wider angles on platform, which is much more dangerous, taking duels which are nowhere near advantageous. And then the round just fell apart from there.
Exactly, and it gets down to a round where it could potentially have went wrong for Mousesports, even though he does the perfect play, you know. So it's kind of like a great play by Styko, but also a round where Mousesports can go back and look, we maybe should have rotated more cornerly.
Well, we do have the statistics loaded up here from Cobblestone. Mousesports and North Academy not going the distance, but Mousesports ultimately walking away 16-6. And guys, when we look at the numbers, what do they tell us?
That Mertz is a fragger. That's what that tells me.
He's a gamer, man.
Yeah, the guy's got 21 kills. It's 11 more frags than anyone else in his team, and there's multiple scenarios that you could definitely cite as to where they should have been able to convert based off people missing kills that normally they probably would get. It has to be frustrating when you're a player like Mertz. It didn't look like he was put in hero positions in the sense of they didn't try and set him up as the star. He was just either making plays out of nothing, and he was actually doing a good job. So props to him for having some impact.
That's why we talk about him in Denmark, like internally at least, of one of these like new upcoming superstars. We haven't had one in a while. We have Device now. We have a few out there, Dupree obviously from Astralis, but we haven't had like that clear superstar talent. And I think Mertz is the answer to our players in that sense.
Haven't had a hardcore AWPer in a long time either. You haven't had like a ride or die AWPer from Denmark in years.
Like ever since Nico, probably from Western Wolves,
or Yugi, right?
Or Yugi, yeah.
Which we get to see next.
Yeah, that's right. We will be seeing that next. Yes, that's right. Heroic and Navi will be what we go to after we come back from the break. But before we get there, let me tell you about our friends over at the Strafe Esports app. Head over to strafe.com to check it out yourself, or the Google Play Store, Apple iOS store, I believe.
I'm strafing.
You're strafing.
Oh,
back and forth. AD. Yeah. All day, baby. All day, baby. We're going to go to a quick break. We come back. We're jumping into Heroic Navi, so make sure you're here with us. And let's see what Strafe's up to on the way out.
Grab your gear and let's go.